Hello, traders. Cousin Vinny coming to you from theclosingprint.com, Sunday, the 30th of July, with your weekend video newsletter. This week we have breadth neutral having improved over the previous week, with many stocks oversold and turning on the IBD 50. The New York FANG Index provided a good launch pad last week. We had many stocks move higher on Friday after a pretty quick sell-off on Thursday over the Bank of Japan changing its policy and a subsequent pop in the 10-year yield. That was all erased on Friday as we closed back near the highs, with RSI rising and many stocks on the index rising as well, like Meta with a third gap up on earnings, with RSI remaining above 50 since February's earnings announcement. Volume was well above average on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. MACD's crossed, and Stochastic's in a primo setup when it turns from oversold. That's a good launch pad for higher prices. Chinese stocks also had a pretty strong week, with the Hang Seng closing up 4.41% for the week, with most of those stocks following through. We did see some of the EVs rally, like XPEV, XPeng, and Baidu on the IBD 50. Look for most of these stocks to follow through this week. Growth and value stocks continue higher, with growth slightly outperforming, both above their 21 EMA and trending, with the S&P Equal Weight Index continuing to follow through. We would like to see a clear directional setup on Monday, given the number of stocks above the 50-day and the number of stocks above their 200-day at higher levels. We could see a little shift lower and some consolidation, while at the same time the S&P 1500 composite, S&P 500, mid-cap 400, small-cap 600 is clearly on a buy signal. For the last 8 weeks, we've remained above the zero line. The histogram is giving us very strong readings, so we have to go with the trend until we start to see histogram levels below the zero line, which doesn't seem likely at the present time, which is echoed by the strength in the New York Stock Exchange high-low indicator, staying above zero. Doesn't look anything like March or May. The black lines rising, higher highs, higher lows. More importantly, New York Stock Exchange advanced decline is rising, making new highs, and the index itself is going through a little bit of consolidation at highs, but not pulling back or giving us any red elder sticks at present. That said, NIMO is trailing off a little bit, so once again, it'd be good for us to wait for clear directional setup on Monday before doing anything, as we could see some consolidation, while the NAMO, yet another reason to wait for clear directional signals from institutions on Monday. At the same time, VIX, VXV, and VIX itself, volatility has fallen off, with the implied moves for the week reducing again, telling us to look for tighter ranges in the S&P 500 and other indices this week. While at the same time, VIX, VXV, front month VIX 30 days to 3 months out is still neutral, so this could go either way. And for now, look for a continuation until otherwise noted. Bottom line, the indices look like they could follow through this week. We just need to pay attention on Monday to make sure that we don't have a little bit of consolidation to start the month of August. Yields remain fairly strong, so this is a headwind for the S&P starting the week. Another reason why we need to wait for a clear directional setup on Monday. If this starts moving higher, this will put some pressure on the S&P and other indices. If it moves lower, that would be bullish. At the same time, the S&P 500 versus the U.S. 10-year bond is giving us a bullish reading. The bond stock ratio, when it drops off, is bullish for equities. When it's starting to move higher and crossing the 65 period moving average, that would be bearish. So for now, we have a clear bullish signal. With junk bonds neutral, we need to see this break above 92.80 to be bullish. If this drops below the 9 and 21 day and starts to head towards the 50 day, that's telling us to look for some consolidation in the short term. While biotechs, the green line, and IWM small caps are turned higher, that's a risk on indicator. So you can see how we have some mixed signals going into the week. We need to see if institutions will continue to buy. With Bitcoin trying to rise, the big caveat, one of the big caveats for the week is the crude oil strength, while advanced decline, as we previously mentioned, is making higher highs and higher lows. That's bullish. Lots of mixed signals to start Monday trading, with the US dollar remaining in this descending wedge pattern. A break above that upper trend line would be bearish for equities. A move lower back to the lower trend line would be bullish. So if we have the dollar and the 10-year moving lower, that would be bullish this week. Note gold made it back above the 21-day. Looking for a follow through this week. Back to the top of this pattern. Copper and some of the commodities are giving us a bullish signal. With copper rising, that would be bullish for economically sensitive stocks like construction, home builders, and home improvement retailers like Home Depot and Lowe's, and companies like Builders First Source, BLDR, which is trending. The last decent buy was right there at the 21-day. Looking for this to continue trending. With the home builders ETF trending as well, most of the home builders are very strong, with the caveat that crude oil prices are starting to reverse. If this does start higher into the fall, that would be bearish for equities. So gasoline also showing you a clear trend. We told you a few weeks ago that if this broke this downtrend, that we'd more than likely see pressure on the indices. For now, the S&P 500 and other indices made higher highs on Friday. We'll look for a follow-through and a clear directional setup on Monday. Sectors appear to be okay. A little rotation going on. Same thing with international markets, with strength noted in Turkey and China and some of the South American markets. With strength noted in biotechs, that's a risk-on indicator if this continues this week and takes out that 132 level. Transports, we did note stocks like Old Dominion Freight, JB Hunt, Union Pacific. Truckers and rails doing very well, some of the airlines. While semiconductors are trying to break out, that would be good. Look at the volume, MACD's turning, Stochastics rising. Materials neutral at highs but trending, looking for a breakout. Communications moving higher on Roku and Meta earnings. Netflix, Charter Communications, Fox, with all the media and communications services looking pretty strong. Look at the volume, MACD's turning, Stochastics rising. Energy, neutral to bullish, it is trending, looking for a breakout. Financials, with most of the big banks looking very strong last week, looking for a follow through here as well. Industrials were fairly strong, still trending. You can see what it's happened here with the 921.50 moving higher. Stocks like Caterpillar showing up on the IBD 50, potentially following through this week. Tech hanging in there. New York FANG Index reviewed earlier. Strong, looking for a follow through and a breakout. Consumer staples, neutral to bullish. And healthcare, neutral to bullish. While consumer discretionary continues to follow through. Notice back in 2022 when the markets moved lower, how institutions positioned more bearishly and the indicator turned down. Now it's turning in the opposite direction, looking for a tailwind in this particular ratio and indicator. Small cap sectors, we're looking for most of these to stay above the blue line. That's their 21-day moving average. Notice small cap energy, PSCE, is leading. Bullish engulfing candle at highs. The rest of these look okay, with the exception of healthcare, which is flat, small cap healthcare, with small cap technology flat for the week. All of these IBD 50 stocks for the week are set up. Note the red asterisks. These are stocks that have earnings within the next couple of weeks. Just make a note of it. Noting Stochastics oversold. And most of these, looking for the follow-through. Excellus, ALGM, Bill.com. There was a lot of option volume last week on Bill.com, noted by Joe K over at Option Hawk. Look for this to turn and for price to push on a second bullish candle off the 21-day. Carnival Cruise Lines, after a tremendous quarter for Royal Caribbean, many of these cruise lines are following through. Note Stochastics oversold on Carnival. Cuck, CEO of Holland America / Carnival, talking about consumers lining up their travel plans for 2024 into 2025 already, trying to capture the current prices and making reservations. Celsius turning higher. Confluent looking for a bounce off the 50-day. Elf, a nice retailer that looks like it's going to go again, pushing off of the 21-day. Stochastics oversold and turning. Volume picking up. EME, a new name. I haven't seen this one on the IBD in a while. Stochastics turning up. Globe, GLBE, following through, pushing higher. Li Auto, another EV. It is embedded up here. I just noticed the strength, though. 21-day is rising and trending. M-Chip, Microchip, Technologies. We've got many of the semiconductors look very similar. Look for that stochastics that is turning if you're thinking about buying something, especially in the semiconductor index. We've got Norwegian Cruise Lines with earnings, I believe, on Tuesday after the close. On Holdings looking good with a hammer on the 21-day. Stochastic starting to turn. IoT, Samsara looking for a pushback above these recent highs. Relatively inexpensive name. Stochastic set up perfectly, though. Look for the volume to pick up. We got Symbiotic turning as well. Stochastic. Tesla on the IBD 50. That doesn't happen very often. Looking for that to get back above the 21-day. Trade Desk, advertising. Lots of conversation about advertising, how well Meta is doing with their advertising segment. Trade Desk doing the same thing. Uber, embedded but trending, looking for a follow-through. And Workday continues to push off of the 21-day at 225, looking for a breakout in the short term. Applied Materials from the swing trader setups, looking for a follow-through. Stochastics turning, MACD has crossed. Volume picked up on Thursday and Friday. RSI is rising, telling you there is more upside potential. Strength of trend is improving. JFrog, one of the stocks mentioned in the New America a couple of weeks ago. Looking for a follow-through here as well. Stocks from IBD's relative strength scan also showing potential follow-through. AAON, air conditioning, supply. With all that hot weather, we're looking for a follow-through. FIX, Comfort Systems, another name in the air conditioning industry group that saw a lot of activity last week, in addition to commentary on financial media. Additional stocks showing relative strength on the IBD relative strength scan. Google, look at the volume. Nice follow-through. MACD, stochastics both rising. Watch RSI, showing strength of trend on the breakout. And inexpensive stocks in the travel and leisure group. Stocks like TripAdvisor, nice volume on Friday. Looks stochastics turning up. RSI showing strength of trend. Get above the 200-day, we could see 26, 27 in the next several weeks. Look for these travel and leisure names to continue. As we highlighted with stocks like the hotels, which were showing strength. Marriott International several weeks ago broke above this 180 level and continue to push higher. Volume picked up. MACD and stochastics are at highs. MACD with stochastics embedded. RSI moving higher. Look for confirmation in the various industry groups that make up the travel and leisure. Airlines, hotels, cruise lines, etc. All of these are showing strength, indicating that institutions are still buying. Okay, traders, that's going to do it for me. This is Cousin Vinny coming to you from theclosingprint.com with your weekend video newsletter for July 30th, 2023. Be sure you check out all the names down below. Many of them are set up. The ones with red asterisks, again, have earnings in the short term and need to be considered accordingly. I'll send out a watch list later tonight in the watch list channel on Slack. So be sure to check that out around 12 o'clock midnight on the East Coast, around 9 o'clock on the West Coast. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care, and I'll see you in the morning. Ciao.